Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is BAWSH, and in this video I'm going to give you guys my top 10 Tekken fighting games of all time. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. This is going to be easy squeezy lemon peasy. I'm going to put Tekken 1 at number 10. I went to go rent a game at Hollywood Video at the time, and I saw the first Tekken on there, and Kazuya had his fist out like this on the front cover, and I was like, sweet, I gotta try this game. I was so disappointed with this game. I know the game was put out to compete with Virtual Fighter, but I felt like they could have left this game in the oven for a little bit to cook more, and it would have been much better. I just didn't like the game at all. I didn't like the sound effects, I didn't like the announcer, I didn't like the stage, how the stages looked. Everything looked so cheap in this game. Long story short, when I rented this game, I ended up taking it back the same day, and I was just like, yeah, I'm never playing this game again. Maybe if I was drunk one day and I had a friend or two over, or maybe if I can somehow riz my wife into be like, hey, let's beat the shit out of each other in this shitty Tekken game. That's the only way I'll ever come back to this. I was not a fan of it. Tekken 1, the first Tekken, gets number 10. Tekken 6, now hear me out, I love Tekken 6. It was the first Tekken game to introduce the bound system where like you can juggle somebody, and right when they're about to like escape from your like combo, you can knock them into the ground to extend the combo that you're doing. The story was lackluster, if you can even call it a story. You normally would play arcade mode with a character, and once you beat arcade mode, you would get their ending. It's not like that in this game. You have to go to scenario campaign, right? And then you have to go to the Coliseum or the arena or whatever, and then you play arcade mode from there. So they weirded it wrong in this game. Now, I will admit that the customization in this game, absolutely fantastic. I think the customization in this game and in Tag Tournament 2 are the best in the franchise. However, I gotta say, introducing a new character and slapping on the Mishima name and bloodline into him, and then randomly concussing him, giving him amnesia, it's like, who am I? Who are you? You look like a beautiful lady. Oh, you're a robot. That turns me on even more. Like, the story was all over the place. I just wasn't a fan of it. It took me a month or two to finally realize what the hell's going on in the story. It took me a while to realize that, oh, I don't have to keep playing Lars. But once I really got into this game, oh man, I was smashing people with Kazuya. I was making people rage quit with Kazuya. This was like when the game first came out, when it was like a couple of months into the game's cycle, the life cycle of the game. Oh man, I was smashing people with Kazuya. I just wasn't a fan of the story mode slash scenario mode, and I wasn't a fan of how they introduced this badass character, and he's got this sick ass opening where he goes in and just wrecks shop, and then all of a sudden, I forget who I am. You look like a beautiful lady, and you're also a robot? Multiple entendre for Lars Alexanderson. The funny thing is, as of this recording, this game is still available to play online for Xbox. The online wasn't the greatest, the online is trash in this game. It's not really a memorable Tekken. The story is kind of dumb if you ask me. It's just about like, Jin bombs the entire world because he feels something is hiding underneath the Earth's crevices, or in this case, it's inside of an Egyptian pyramid temple. It's Azazel, the worst boss in Tekken history. So Jin basically Kim Jong-un's the entire world because this monster behemoth thing is a threat to the world. You could have just hired the Mishima Zaibatsu's top secret scientist or archaeologist to find, pinpoint, and locate this monster, instead of having to Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas the entire world. I'm just saying, Jin. I'm just saying. This game was the reason why I hated Jin so much, so yeah, it definitely deserves its number 9 spot. Number 8 definitely goes to Tekken 7. I really wanted to like this game. I really wanted to like this game. This game had pretty much everything. It had the crossover characters, it had returning characters, it had awesome stage designs. The story was just stupid. The narration, whoever the narrator was for this game in the story mode killed the vibe for me. And the guy narrating the Tekken story where it's like, my wife and my child were dead, and it is my duty to interview Heihachi. And they hide his face, and They're trying to paint Heihachi as like this good guy, but he's not really good. He's kind of anti-hero-ish. It explains that the reason why he tossed Kazuya, his son, off a cliff to begin with is because Kazuya's mother was actually a devil, and she comes from a lineage of devil females who mate with somebody, and once they're pregnant and or have a child with them, then they kill off their love mate or their soulmate or their whatever. On pen and paper it works, but why the hell did it take 6 to 7 games for them to implement this? You know what I mean? I felt like the story got rehashed so many times at this point that we didn't even know what the hell to believe anymore. And here's the thing, once they introduced Kazuya's mom in this game, but when Kazuya, Jin and all that, like Jin's not even a part of the story. He's not. He comes in at the very end and then the story ends. But when you see Kazuya grown up and he's going toe-to-toe with Heihachi, toe-to-toe with Akuma, his mother's nowhere to be found. I just didn't like Kasumi. She played like a virtual fighter character. Maybe that's why I didn't like her so much. The story had some bangers, like rehashing the Tekken 5 sequence where Heihachi and Kazuya team up for a little bit to take on the Jack units. I thought that was awesome. I thought Akuma coming to find Heihachi and then having them throw down for a bit was cool. Akuma in this game just made no sense. I felt like this was like an Easter egg to Tekken Cross Street Fighter, but that never happened. The ending of the story, it was like Kazuya kills Heihachi, he throws him into a volcano, and then you fight Akuma, you beat Akuma, and then we get this Goku Kamehameha / Vegeta Gallic Gun beam clash with Kazuya and Akuma, and then that's when the story ends. I didn't like it. Let's talk about the loading time in this game. Tekken 7 has the worst loading time. I think Tekken 6's loading time is a little bit more bearable, but Tekken 7's loading time, I think it tops Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem Forever's loading time. It's got the worst loading times in this game, and the character customization is alright, but it's not as good as Tekken 6. The story's lackluster and everything, but like once Tekken 8 came out, I immediately uninstalled Tekken 7. Like there was no reason for me to go back to this game whatsoever. I don't miss this game just for the simple fact that the loading times just suck all the fun and dopamine out of me. There is no reason to play this game other than if you're just jumping into Tekken for the very first time. Play offline versus, play treasure battle, learn the characters in this game, and then eventually move on to Tekken 8. That's my only reason to play this game. Other than that, don't touch it. Tekken Tag Tournament 2 deserves the number 7 slot. I got sick playing this game, and I don't mean like I played it so much I got sick. I mean like I lost so many times in this game. I got so frustrated. I got so mad. I almost had a mental breakdown. I had to catch my breath. I had to take a break, and I never take breaks when I play video games. I'm just like, once I'm on the game, I'm on it for hours. But I was playing ranked with Kazuya and Jin, and this Yoshimitsu player was so fucking toxic that I just got so frustrated. I was this close to blacking out, and I remember just exiting ranked mode, going to the bathroom, washing my face. Shortly after that, I just got sick. This game was extremely competitive online. Once you get to Grandmaster rank in this game, it is difficult to get to green. I don't know how I got to Warrior rank, but Warrior rank in this game was a fucking struggle. But other than that, the customization in this game is supreme. The detail, the decal, all the DLC characters were free in this game. The only thing you had to pay for was the stupid online service thing. I'm glad they got rid of that and they saw the error of their ways. Every video game company was like, yeah, this is stupid. They're already paying for PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live. Why the hell are we gonna make them pay for an online on top of that? It was good to see returning characters like Boris Law, Kunimitsu, Tiger Jackson. I thought it was weird that Snoop Dogg was in this game and he made a song called Paid 'em. What? I need that. I knock him down. Fist like Tekken. By the way, this is Snoop Lion, aka the reincarnation of Bob Marley. Like, Snoop, I don't know what the hell you were smoking, but it wasn't it wasn't FDA approved, bro. I'm just saying. I want to play this game again, and it's available on Xbox and Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, but I feel like I would have to relearn everything because it plays so different compared to 7 and 8. Plus you have to relearn like the tag in combo system where like you knock someone into the ground, pop them up, and then your tag team partner temporarily gets like a shot or two in. I would have to relearn all of that. This game, other than me getting sick that one time, it was fun. Actually, you know what? Let me move everything up by 1. Okay, I'm gonna move everything up by 1. Actually, no. Let me put the first Tekken right here. I think I would rather play Tekken Revolution over Tekken 1 any day, just for better graphics, better gameplay. I understand that you had to pay in order to play online, and it's stupid that you had to pay in order to play the single player mode. That was fucking stupid if you ask me. Tekken 3, I'm not gonna lie, before Blockbuster went out of business, this was like one of the games I was able to rent, and I played this game for so many years. I put a lot of time and effort into this game. Don't get me wrong, it's great, but I personally think it's overhyped. A lot of people overhype this game, and for good reason. Is because they believe that this game is the greatest in the franchise, and I will agree to that to a certain extent, but as the end-all be-all for Tekken, I don't think so. Hey, I love this game. I love Tekken 3. Love Tekken 3. I purposely deleted the save file for Tekken 3 just to re-unlock everything. That's how much I love this game, because I wanted to go through it again. Like I'm experiencing unlocking the characters over and over and over, going through Tekken Force mode, the works, you know what I mean? Here's the thing though. If it wasn't for a certain amount of games on this list, this game would be higher. Kazuya is my main character in Tekken. Kazuya not being in Tekken is like Scorpion not being in Mortal Kombat 3. You see what they were kind of doing here? Mortal Kombat 3 drops. Let's not add Scorpion. Tekken 3 drops. Let's not add Kazuya. You can't have Kazuya without Tekken, and you can't have Tekken without Kazuya. So yeah, I love Tekken 3, but I don't think it's top 3. If I'm being honest here, I don't think it's top 3. I don't. The original Tekken Tag Tournament is number 4. So many get-togethers, so many memories with this game. This was the first Tekken game where you can pick 2 of your favorite Tekken characters and just go toe-to-toe with like family members, friends. You can play the arcade mode. They had Tekken Bowling in this mode, which was actually kind of fun. I think I actually prefer Tekken Bowling over Tekken Beach Ball. I had this weird thing where like if I'm playing on a controller at home on a console, my team was Jin and Kazuya Mishima. But if I'm playing on an arcade stick at the arcade, oh, I'm picking Baekto-san and Hwoarang. For some reason, I always do good with Baekto-san and Hwoarang. I don't know why. I suck on an arcade stick when it comes to playing as a Mishima. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's because I can't get the electric fist uppercut or whatever, but I always do good with Baekto-san, or Beck for short, than I do with Kazuya or Jin. It's weird. The opening to this game is an absolute banger. It absolutely slaps. I love the secondary opening. I love the little arcade style opening that's kind of like Tekken 3, but it shows like an introduction of like the gameplay and everything. I love that. The graphics in this game are absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Tekken Tag Tournament comfortably sits at number 4. We're into the top 3. We're into the top 3. Are you guys ready for this? Tekken 2 is my 3rd favorite Tekken game of all time. This was the first game I played. I'm gonna go a little bit into detail here. I lost my uncle back in 2022, and he was the first person that introduced me to Tekken 2, and I'll never forget going over to his house way back in the 90s, and we were all just gathered around, my dad, my other uncle, and we were all just playing the original PlayStation. This was like when it first dropped. He had a copy of Mortal Kombat Trilogy. We were all playing Mortal Kombat Trilogy. My go-to was always Scorpion, and everybody was just having a good time. He was barbecuing, everything. And then he busts out this brand new spanking game that's called Tekken 2. It was still sealed in the plastic wrap. So he took it off and then he popped the fucking game in. When that opening played, oh, I was a fan instantly. The thing that gets me to this day is when Kazuya is like this, and then it shows all of like the unlockable characters, and then there's an angel standing behind Kazuya. His eyes slowly open, blood red, and then the angel's wings expand out while Heihachi is barely like climbing back up the mountain that he was thrown off, and then Tekken 2 flashes on the screen. Fucking beautiful. I'll never forget being ass at this game. I sucked. I was maybe like 3-4 years old when I played this game. I didn't know how to play video games. I just pushed buttons. But once I dedicated myself, I think I was like 4.5 to 5 years old. My dad would pick Beck, or Beck Do-san. He was the Korean Taekwondo guy, and I couldn't touch him. I couldn't get one hit in on him. I was either using Kazuya or I was using Paul. I was between Paul and Kazuya. He would bust out like 4 or 5 hit piece combos, knock me up in the air, and he would keep me in the air for like 10 seconds. I don't know how he would do this, but my dad was a button masher, but he was good. Like, he actually kind of knew like what button to mash and how to do it. I was so frustrated. I spent the entire next day just practicing with Beck, practicing with Kazuya. It's like, okay, I know they're 10-hit combos. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. How do I counter? I even spent time learning how to counter certain moves that they would do in the game. My dad, he was like, what the fuck? When did you get so good? Instead of getting mad, he called over everybody and I beat them too. At the next family get together, he lined them all up to face me, whooped them all. They would pick characters that I would slightly know, and I would still beat them. That's how good I was. I would sit there and I would practice each and every character. I would practice which move leaves them open the most, which move can I not counter, what do I counter with, and all that, and I beat them. This was the first game I actually sat down and dedicated myself to get good at. And I'll never forget the memories that I spent with my uncle. He was the one that got me into Tekken, and I'll always cherish those memories. And, you know, if anybody out there is wondering why I didn't put Tekken 3 higher, it's because the memories that I have with Tekken 2. And this was my first competitive fighting game introduction, and it was a casual game, but I went into this game with so much ferocity, so much dedication, that I wanted to be better. I had to be better, and I had to beat my dad and everybody else who stand in my way. I was Kazuya Mishima. I had that Kazuya Mishima mentality. It's like, I'm gonna take everything, and anybody who gets in my way is gonna be laid out. That was me. That's why I love Kazuya Mishima. This game made me fall in love with Kazuya Mishima. This is why this game made me fall in love with the color purple. And I love it. And this game needs a remaster or a retelling or something. They need to do with Tekken 2 and 1 what they did to Mortal Kombat 9. And they need to have a retelling. You know what I mean? A retelling. I love this game. I'm so sorry, guys, but I love Tekken 2. And nothing will ever change my mind on that. Tekken 4 is my second favorite Tekken game of all time. And I will tell you why. This was the only Tekken in the franchise to approach a dark setting. I'm talking like almost a rated M for mature rating. Now, when you first boot up the game, the opening shows Heihachi throwing Kazuya into the mouth of a volcano. This happens after the events of Tekken 2, my favorite game of all time. And then it cuts to 20 years later, witnessing the opening, all of these like Tekken 4 soldiers going in, and then one of them gets knocked on their ass, and then the camera pans to their point of view, and it's fucking Kazuya Mishima, and his eye is glowing red. Heihachi's like, "You're still alive?" And he just mops the entire Tekken force, single-handedly. One of them even has a knife and he disarms them with ease. I love the quote that Kazuya says. He says, "They all thought I was out of the game." He's either talking about the game of the Mishima Zaibatsu, being in control of everything, or the video game itself. It has two meanings that I love very much to this day. And then he slowly takes the sunglasses off, looks at the camera and says, "But I'm the one holding the cards now." And then it cuts to him holding like this Desert Eagle looking handgun, blood all on his shoulder, his hair down to the side a little bit, breathing in and out with the Tekken soldier on his knees recording. And Kazuya points to the gun at the guy and he says, "I will get everything back," and he crushes the guy's skull and the camera goes offline. Absolutely bone-chilling, stone-cold type shit right here. I love how the minor characters like Paul and Law are taken more seriously. Martial Law ends up losing his restaurant chain and he falls into a deep state of depression. He picks up a habit of drinking alcohol and it shows him being overweight. And then Paul Phoenix arguably had the greatest ending in this game. The greatest ending. This is a comeback, a classic Rocky Balboa comeback story where it starts off where he thinks he wins the Tekken 3 tournament. He defeats Ogre in Tekken 3, but he comes back and transforms as true Ogre. That's when a lot of people were basically saying, "Yeah, right, you didn't win the tournament, you left because you're weak and blah blah blah," which drove him into a state of depression. And he basically lost everything. He was homeless at one point. When you play arcade mode and it shows a screenshot of him sleeping on the side of on a sidewalk with newspapers, he was homeless. Like, Paul went through it. Steve Fox, one of the newest characters in this game, he's a British world champion boxer. And he was so good that he was approached by the Mafia and told him to take a dive in the middle of his next fight. And Steve disagreed because he's a champion and he doesn't take orders from anybody, including the Mafia. And long story short, they put a hit out on Steve. Steve was on the run for so long, and then he eventually said, "You know what? They're gonna get me eventually. I'm gonna go out with a bang and enter myself into the next Tekken tournament." Steve was a clone from Nina Williams. She's an assassin in the Tekken franchise. And lo and behold, she was the assassin that was hired by the Mafia to take out Steve. It's kind of a mind-numbing, mind-twisting experience when you play it. Craig Marduk, another new Tekken character, he was a Vale Tudo champion. He was so hot-headed, he ended up killing Armor King, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. That's kind of a light sentence if you ask me. Someone behind the scenes ended up paying his bail. I don't know how that works, because once you're sentenced, but I guess they were pulling some strings from the shadows and they said, "Hey, we'll pay you this much money if you let him go and allow him to fight in the next tournament." Not only did he walk away a free man, but he was able to compete in the next Tekken tournament. His story with Armor King also relates to King, a lucha libre Mexican world champion. And King enters the tournament to get revenge on Marduk. And in King's ending, it's so emotional because he goes there at the hospital where Craig is being treated for his injuries that King gave him. He drops the flowers once he enters the room. He puts his hand over the breathing mask and he cocks back his fist like he's gonna kill him. But then King looks over to the side and sees a picture of Craig behind his mom and dad, and then he slowly just lets go of his anger because King knew right then and there killing Marduk won't bring Armor King back. Plus, Marduk had a family of his own. King thought to himself, how much more of a man would I be if I take away his mom and dad's only son? I am no better than him if I do that. That's why I love Tekken 4, because the minor characters shine in this game. Kazuya, Jin, and Heihachi, they all have their story. They all connect with one another. I love it because my man Paul finally got the spotlight on him. My man Martial Law finally had something to fight for. My man King had character development. He could have easily chosen revenge, but he chose to be a better man. That's why I love Tekken 4. The story that they set, absolute depressing dark state that people go through in this game, especially Lei Wulong. Lei Wulong's like this funny Jackie Chan martial artist, and in his story, get this, I'm not even making this up, if you go back and play it or look it up on YouTube, Lei Wulong was such a workaholic in this game, his girlfriend ended up leaving him for Lei Wulong's own assistant, and it drove him so depressed. He was thinking about it non-stop, that when he was on this mission to bust this crime syndicate, he ended up botching the entire 2 years worth of build-up to capturing the crime syndicate. It shows that people are humans in this game and they still go through these emotional states in their lives. That's why I love Tekken 4. How are you going to sell a fighting game if you're not going to connect with the fighters in the game? If you are playing a game like, let's say, Super Smash Brothers, right? But you haven't played Super Mario, you haven't played Metroid, you haven't played Zelda, you haven't played any of the crossover DLC characters, and you still played Super Smash Brothers. It's still going to be a fun game regardless. But how fun is that game going to be without the lore of the characters to back them up? You know what I mean? I absolutely love Tekken 4. I will agree that there should have been like 5 or 10 more characters in this game just to be safe. But this game's atmosphere and even the soundtrack is not the greatest, but you have to give credit to the composer. They were going for something different here. There's a couple of bangers in this game. The beach stage being one of them, the heliport being another one. Inner Shrine is an absolute banger. It sets the mood for the game, and it's backed up by this smooth drum set and the bass. Oh man, and then when it drops, yo, you're like, yeah, I'm fighting for my life in this game. I love Tekken 4. The atmosphere absolutely makes this game. Tekken 4 is definitely the black sheep of the franchise, and it deserves so much more love and praise. They went for something different, and I think they knocked it out of the park. It may not be as popular as like 3, it may not be as trend-setting as 2, but it holds a special place in my heart. Tekken 5 is my #1 Tekken fighting game of all time, and I will happily explain why. Not only is this a continuation of number 4, not only is almost everybody's favorite character in this game, but there was like 2 openings to this game. One where Kazuya and Heihachi wake up after being basically given the business from Jin Kazama. And then G Corporation sends a platoon of Jax units just to go wreck shop. And then we see Kazuya and Heihachi team up temporarily to take on all of the Jax by themselves. And they both absolutely wreck shop up until the point where Kazuya throws Heihachi to them like a pack of wild animals. One of them self-destructs and takes everything with him. And this was when like Heihachi Mishima is dead. And then the second opening kicks up and I'm like, what the hell? And then like when it shows Feng Wei like punching the coal fires while his master's in the background, and then like the guitar kicks in and it's like, I was like, oh my god, this game is gonna be fucking awesome. I gotta say, this might be my favorite opening. I just noticed Tekken 8 isn't on this list. Okay, so we'll replace Tekken Revolution with Tekken 8. Let's just put Tekken 8 as number 9. Actually, let me take this off. Put this right here, put this right here, put this right here. We'll put this right here. Tekken 8 will go right here. Tekken 8 will go right here. Everything else is fine. I took Tekken Revolution off. We're not putting that shit on here. So Tekken 5, when I first played it, I was absolutely blown away by the opening. I was absolutely blown away by the cast of characters. This game's soundtrack is definitely one of the greatest soundtracks in any Tekken fighting game. I would argue that to this day. That character select screen, it absolutely slaps, yo. I don't care about any other soundtrack except the Tekken 5 soundtrack. It had everything. Moonlight Wilderness, Ground Zero Funk, which is another song that I have yet to see on the jukebox in Tekken 7 or 8. That was an absolute banger of a song. Finalizer is a good one. Like, the roster itself was a much better step up from Tekken 4. Not to mention, this game comes with Tekken 1, Tekken 2, Tekken 3, a space shoot-'em-up game that's 2 players if I'm not mistaken, and a Tekken Force mode called The Devil Within, where you play as Jin Kazama and there's 5 bosses. It doesn't get any better than that. That's like paying $10 each for 6 games. It doesn't get any better than that. This was a PlayStation 2 game, and if you want content like that nowadays, they're gonna charge you a hefty price. I'm sorry. This game was also the first Tekken game to introduce customization for costumes, characters. If you want to add like a mask on somebody, you could do that. If you want to add like a machine gun to somebody, you can do that. Although I don't know if you were able to use it. Feng Wei was my favorite character to customize because he had like these badass swords and everything. I wasn't a fan of purchasing Eddie Gordo for $5 million when it could be easily unlocked in Tekken 4 as an alternative costume, but that was just me. That's just my opinion. This was also the first game to introduce Devil Jin as a playable character. Now, to unlock Devil Jin in Tekken 5, you had to either play 200 single fights offline, which is like arcade or random treasure battle, or you can beat the Devil Within mode, which I don't recommend because it's difficult as hell. I always found stage 4 and 5 to be the most difficult stages. This game had so much content, the gameplay was fluid for Tekken 5, the story was awesome. I like the interactions with characters, like when they do the little cutscenes and you hear the guitar in the background going dun 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 tsh, dun, 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 tsh, dun, dun, tsh. Like, this game was awesome. This was the peak of Tekken for me, and I challenge anybody out there to say so otherwise. So let's recap. The first Tekken as number 10, Tekken 6 as number 9, Tekken 7 as number 8, Tekken Tag Tournament 2 as number 7, Tekken 3 as number 6. I don't know why they don't have Tekken 8 on here, but Tekken 8 goes in slot 5. It's still a fresh game. It's not even a year old yet, but once it lives out its phase, like its DLC phase, I will come back to this list and I'll rearrange it. Tekken Tag Tournament 1 is number 4, Tekken 2 is number 3, Tekken 4 is number 2, and sitting at the top, Tekken 5 as number 1. That is my top 10 Tekken games of all time. What did you guys think, and what are your top 10 Tekken favorite fighting games of all time? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next video. Stay blessed, stay awesome. I love you guys. Peace.